How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys are continuously having a great day. It is still hump day, so hopefully, you guys are ready, ripping and ready to go when it comes to the weekend. If you have an extra day off, use it to enjoy your time with your loved ones and definitely make money moves with your goals and aspirations, no matter what they may be. Now, I'm going to be talking about Master P versus Suge Knight. Now, before I get started, I'm not talking about anything from a negative perspective in regards to Master P or Suge Knight. I actually, I admire Master P a lot more, but I have what Suge Knight created and whatnot, and I heard of him before I even heard of Master P. The empire that he created back in the 90s says a lot about him, especially from the beginnings that he comes from, even though his demise is not the best. And of course his reputation wasn't the best, but from a business perspective, very smart man. After watching the documentary Life on Death Row Records and the newest documentary No Limit Chronicles, which is very interesting, I have come to a multitude of conclusions when it comes to these two men that started these great music label empires. Master P obviously more of a businessman. That's why I respect him a lot more, because he saw life outside of music and didn't want to, we talk about multiple streams of income. Master P is definitely Mr. Multiple Streams of Income. So he saw life outside of the music industry. The conclusions is that both of these gentlemen comes from some of the roughest communities within the United States of America. They both come from humble beginnings and worked very, very hard to build up a successful, not only platform enterprises, but people all at the same time. Now, most know that Mr. Knight's demise, unfortunately, ended with him in prison for the rest of his life because he committed murder. But if you look at what he built decades ago, it was something else. His former attorney even said, very smart guy. If he just would have let that other stuff alone, who knows where his life would be right now. But that's another story for another day. So let's start with him. Marion Hugh Suge Knight Jr., that's his actual legal name, was born in Compton, California in 1965. Mr. Knight was a track and football star in high school and played football at El Camino College, and he was actually transferred to the University of Nevada in Las Vegas and played there for 2 years and was in the underdraft in the 1987 NFL draft for the LA Rams training camp. He was cut from the Rams during actual boot camp, for football players, but was utilized as a replacement player during the 1987 NFL player strike. And he had the pleasure of playing 2 professional games, so he could at least say he played, in the pros. He worked as a concert promoter after that and bodyguard for a multitude of celebrities such as Bobby Brown, various others, which in Los Angeles and in Las Vegas is a money-making machine. Hey, if you're a bodyguard and you're around a lot of celebrities and whatnot, you can get into the club promotion business. Obviously life before COVID. Hopefully, when this is all over with, people. But opportunities like that will occur again. Even once this thing settles down, there's a appropriate vaccine. He signed a great West Coast rappers such as DJ Quick and the DOC and others, various others. For he actually had a promotion company. Most know that he formed a record label, because the thing that people don't realize is that he formed his own promotion company after obtaining royalties from the rapper known as, now rock star known as Vanilla Ice, Robert Van Winkle, which is his real name. Now, people have seen the various amounts of stories when it comes to, Suge Knight and Vanilla Ice and whatnot, saying that, he threatened his life and he held him over a balcony saying, you better sign these papers, because apparently the song Ice Ice Baby, another person was involved in that song, the writing and the music of that song, and the person deserved royalties and was one of Suge Knight's artists. And the story's been confirmed that it was he was threatened, but he was never tossed out over a balcony, held for over a balcony for his life was on the line or anything of that nature. But anyways, the money that Suge Knight got from that deal, he was able to sign more rappers like the ones I mentioned earlier, like DJ Quick, PLC, and various others. But most know Suge Knight for when he formed a record label with Dr. Dre, who's another person that he worked with, and you've seen what he's done, not just with music, but with various other things, known as Death Row Records, and signed various great artists like Snoop Dogg, The Dogg Pound, MC Hammer, most people still don't know that, Tupac, and various others. All right, he had a multitude of music empire, which met its ultimate demise in 2006, filed for bankruptcy due to civil litigation against him, and at the end of the day, he lost his assets, including his record label and various other things, unfortunately. Like I said, I think if Suge Knight would have made various other decisions once he got out of jail during that time frame, I think things would have changed for him. And I know he was getting with other people like Ja Rule and Irv Gotti from, the INC back at the time. But, life happens and, things change. Now, when it comes to Master P, Mr. No Limit Soldier, I thought I told you, whose real name is Percy Robert Miller. He was born in 1967 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, Master P's background is similar to Suge Knight's. However, I believe that Master P was probably much more poor than Suge Knight growing up. Master P didn't even have his own bed till he was like 16 or 17 years old. However, they both lived in harsh conditions, dealt with a lot of gang violence and things of that nature. But like I said, very, very interesting, the beginnings that both of these gentlemen come from. And, you see where one is at today, is still doing great things with various amounts of other things. Master P was another thing they have in common, he was an all-around basketball star player in high school, in the sports, just like Suge Knight was. He went to the University of Houston on an athletic scholarship, but he got hurt and had to go back to New Orleans, Louisiana, unfortunately. He worked jobs and tried to be a drug dealer, but, he knew that wasn't for him, and he definitely wanted more for himself, especially after he had his son Romeo, which became a big star, actor, music star, etc. His wife at the time had family in Richmond, California, and he had, a settlement check that actually came from his grandfather's unfortunate death due to a medicine mix-up at the hospital that his grandfather was at. So Master P took, his money, opened up a record store in Richmond, California, drove from New Orleans to Richmond, California, and started a rap group. All right, he toured the country, selling records, and thanks to people like Tupac, E40, etc., others, and various others, he was able to build relationships. I was talking about that in a video I made earlier today. Relationships are very important, and even in the digital age, you need to be making as much relationships as possible with the right people with the same mindset. Master P even paid Michael Jackson's lawyers, and like I said, tuition. I was talking about that earlier today. He paid Michael Jackson's lawyer thousands of dollars. I believe it was $25,000 just in order to figure out how to take his rap career to the next level, because he needed to get advice from the right people. And I like I said, you get what you pay for in this life. And there's nothing wrong with being frugal with your money, but if you're constantly cheap about certain things, you're not going to be able to get to a certain level in life. That's just my personal opinion. You're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later. And Master P paid then, so he didn't have to pay later. And he was, because he, one of the smartest business decisions that Master P ever made was turning down a record deal. I believe it was from Jimmy Iovine at Interscope Records, that would have just made him an artist instead of a boss/CEO like he's been since he got into the music industry, which was forming a record label known as No Limit Records. And he signed artists like his brothers, Silk the Shocker, C Murder, Snoop Dogg, Mia X, Fiend, Mystical, and so much more. Because the thing is, that's why I put Master P versus Suge Knight, because when Suge Knight was in prison after he got a parole violation for being in Las Vegas when Tupac was killed, unfortunately, Master P went to jail and was like, hey, Snoop doesn't want to be on death row anymore, man. What is it going to take to get him, for you to release him and get him on death row? And they worked out a business deal amongst one another, okay? Now, I know there were some issues after the issue took place, but they worked out a business deal to where Suge Knight would get a certain amount of money from Snoop while he's on death row, okay? I mean, while he was on No Limit and whatnot. So, like I said, it was a business transaction, period. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a very interesting thing. And the thing was, I think Suge Knight respected Master P because Master P never backed down from Suge Knight. And, he saw that he was a businessman and he wasn't a guy that was just going to roll over. And he's like, hey, what is it going to take to get Snoop on the label? They worked out a deal as businessmen and it got done. So I just thought that was, to me, very, very interesting. But then the thing is, like I said, Master P's No Limit. So I was in high school when his record label came out, like in full force with all the artists. He had like over 15, 20 artists on his label, okay? And they all put out records within a year, 1 year, you know what I mean? But the thing that always intrigued me about Master P, and I didn't realize it till now, with the creation of this video, is that as a 16 to 17-year-old, I was amazed to see this brother, this king, form clothing lines, movie production companies, sports management company, toys, and now he was on his way to, now he's on his way to making pancakes and these noodle companies. So check out his pancakes and noodles and all that good stuff. See if it's in your local stores. His own shoe line. So that's what I admired about him. He went beyond the rap music. So that's what made me, before I even really heard Master P's music, I saw the business aspect of him at 16 to 17 years old. That's what amazed me about him. And that's why you see the joy in my voice just grow, and the enthusiasm just grow when I talk about Percy Miller, because Percy Miller came from the streets just like Suge Knight. Percy Miller ran into some trouble every now and then just like Suge Knight, so two people with the same backgrounds and whatnot, and both went to college, both played sports in college, okay? But one chose to say, I'm leaving the streets alone. That's the main thing. If you watch the No Limit Chronicles, you will see Master P wanted all his artists. He didn't hey, if you don't want to be with me, I'll let you go. But he wanted his people to stay out of trouble. Leave the street life alone. Okay, we're building something here. We're making a big difference here. We're going to give back to the community as well. And that's what it is. Snoop Dogg could tell you himself, if it wasn't for Master P, he wouldn't be the astute businessman that he is today. Okay, Snoop Dogg probably wouldn't even be relevant right now. Okay, if you think about it, how many artists that used to be on death row that are alive are still relevant right now? Not many in 2020. Okay, and why is he still relevant? Because he does more. Snoop Dogg does more than music, and he learned that business acronym from Master P. Master P is I call him the southern version of a Diddy or a Damon Dash, because he wants to build people so that they can become bosses. Okay, that was his whole thing. Even his brother, he helped him form his own record label called TRU. What I'm saying? Even though it's unfortunate his brother's in prison right now for the rest of his life, possibly. But, same thing with Damon Dash. He helps people to become bosses and whatnot, not so they can work for him forever and ever and whatnot, because he says, a general wants to be around other generals. He gives orders to the soldiers and whatnot. And that's what Master P was doing. And he helped Snoop Dogg become a general and whatnot. But anyways, I could go on and on about that. But yeah, that's what amazed me about him. The only thing I can say to Master P is where he's at right now is because he left the street alone and continuously evolves in life. I think that's where Mr. Suge Knight went wrong, and others like him, who, unfortunately you have a lot of smart people in prison, but they just did a lot of stupid things, and that's just what it is. And, and Suge Knight killed somebody, so he's where he belongs. I'm just gonna call it what it is. I think with Mr. Knight, all I can say is he built a music empire, which he could have transitioned into multiple other empires, just like Master P did. The process of money is very simple. You make money, you find out ways to make that money make you more money. You put it into things that are going to grow, and then it's a continuous cycle, merry-go-round, as I call it, a money merry-go-round. Master P's money merry-go-rounds, not just one, various merry-go-rounds have been growing and growing and growing. Okay? A guy from the Calio projects in New Orleans, heck, he even helped rebuild his own projects after Hurricane Katrina. Okay, he got investors to help rebuild the place that made him who he is today. So that's what I'm saying, And I know Suge Knight would get back to his community in Compton and whatnot as much as possible. But it's just, like I said, if you just would have let that street life alone, stop trying to be the hardcore gangster, you never know where he could have been like. But hey, I'm not in that man's head, so I can't predict what his life would have been. But I saw a successful businessman in Suge Knight as well at the same time. But he just had a lot of other stuff going on. Like I said, no, this is not a shy at anybody. Master P's not perfect, Suge Knight's not perfect. But I just, like I said, the empires that Master P built, I have a lot of respect for that, very much so. Okay. Now, and like I said, unfortunately, he's going to be in prison the rest of his life because he was convicted for murder, killed somebody. I mean, Jay-Z, Damon Dash, and many others have learned how to evolve past the street life because, like Tupac stated, we grow, we all grow. Either you evolve or you disappear. We grow, we all grow. Either you evolve or you disappear, okay? We're going into 2021 now. Forget about 2020, family. It's time for the new evolution to continuously grow and grow and grow, and stop thinking 2020, start thinking 2021. That's all I can say. We're in September right now, 2020. So So start thinking 2021, forget about 2020, all right? Hopefully I will see you guys live tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the power of ownership in its various aspects and forms. I'm going to be really getting into the gentrification aspect of things, because I'm going to show you how you hear gentrification a lot, but there's a lot of people that are not going to ever be gentrified from a certain area, because the crazy thing is they own. All right, so it's own to be on time, family. So definitely do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. All right, check out the Care Bars International family, where we buy gold. You save it, and you can recommend others to buy it. You buy a specific package and whatnot, and that's how you can actually, if you want to, not only be an investor, but you can be create your own little gold side business if you want to. All negative comments get deleted and you get blocked. So like I said, we keep it positive here. If something's not for you, then it's not for you. And as always, remember, you can't get fired if you own the company. Master P will never get fired because he owns various amounts of companies, all right? So I just leave it at that, all right, family? Take care and have a great day.